Hey guys, I'm Dejeanne and this is part 2 to my uterine fibroid story. In this part, I will be talking about my emergency myomectomy surgery, recovery, and everything that entailed with just the post-op recovery and weight loss that came with it. So if you are interested and have not watched part 1, go ahead and click on back, watch part 1 and get caught up. If you already watched part 1, welcome back, and here is part 2. All right, we are here on June 17th now. I was admitted to the hospital, so my show-up time was about 5 a.m., 5:30. Had to go through the whole admissions process, get my wristbands, get my paperwork together, had to take a COVID test. So I was just going through the motions of getting admitted to the hospital for surgery. Once I got called to the back, once I was all checked in and registered, the woman led me to the room so I can get weighed and get my blood pressure taken. Then I also had to take a urine test to make sure I wasn't pregnant before the surgery. So, after all of that was done, they took me to one of the rooms where I had to go ahead and change out into the gown and the shower cap and put all my property into like the little plastic bags. So by then, a bunch of people just started coming in and the process just started moving fast. So one lady came in to put first she took some blood. She took some blood first, and then she went ahead to put an IV in my arm. And then someone else came in. They're like, hey, I'm just watching the surgery, but I just wanted to meet you so you know who I am. And I'm like, okay. And then another person came in. They're like, hey, I'm helping your doctor. I'm a resident doctor. And I just want to meet you, let you know that I'm going to be working strictly with you as well as, assisting the doctor. So I'm like, okay, nice to meet you. Someone else came in. She put this warmer on me since it was cold back there. But since they had to put the IV in, they're like, okay, the IV saline is cold, so we're going to put this warmer on you so you can get comfortable. I had to take a Tylenol, and they gave me some other medicine so I can kind of start to relax before I get into the operating room. And then spoke to my my doctor. My gyno was the one who actually performed my surgery. So I spoke to her, and she was like, I'm gonna try to take some pictures. I'm like, okay, make sure you take those pictures, girl. So everyone literally is just coming in and out, in and out, in and out. And then the anesthesiologist came in and I met him, had to sign my forms, of course, and they used general anesthesia on me. And then literally right before they was about to call me back, the guy came back and they're like, well, your doctor wants to give you a nerve block in your stomach, so you got to sign this paperwork. So not only was the general anesthesia, but the nerve block that they gave me. So I'm like, whatever y'all need to do to take this fibroid up out of me, just do it. By then it's like 7 a.m. and my surgery was supposed to start at 7:30. So 7:30 rolls around and I text my husband, text my family, hey, they're about to roll me back. So y'all not gonna hear from me until I get out of surgery. So they're like, okay, you lead the way. I'm walking on back, greeting everyone. I'm like, okay, which direction? Because I'm like ready to go at this point, because I'm like, this has been a very hard process for me throughout literally more than half the year. Just constant bleeding, feeling like you want to pass out. I'm tired. I was tired of the ER visits, tired of the blood transfusions, all the different medications that I had to take. So I was literally just so ready to get this done so I can close this chapter. So we go ahead in the operating room. They're like, you're going to be on there. I'm like, okay, let's go. I get on the bed, y'all. Tell me why they try to start small talk conversation, because mind you, my arms are like laid out across. So I have an IV in this arm laying down, and at first I told them, I said, y'all don't be sticking me everywhere, because the last time I had came to the ER that Monday, actually, one girl put the IV in my arm and it messed up my arm. Like my arm was bruised up and it was hurting. So I'm like, only going this arm right here. So they're like, okay, whatever. So I'm laid out on the table and the resident nurse, she's like, let's talk about these nails. I'm like, all right, girl, enough with the small talk. I know what y'all about to do, because someone at the same time, because she's like leaning in my face while I'm laying there, someone is screwing in something in my IV. So I think it was the anesthesia. So she's just like, yeah, so let's talk about the nails. Where do you get it from? I said, I know what you're doing. You're trying to make small talk. I'm not here for that. I'm ready for the surgery. And they're like, ooh, we got a feisty one here today. I'm like, y'all sure do, because I'm ready for these fibroids to get up out of me. Okay, I'm ready. Once they started they put the anesthesia in, well, the IV in, and everyone's moving around, and they're like, okay, we're about to get started soon. And I'm like, well, give me a second. Let's do a prayer, because I want this to go as smooth as possible. They're like, okay. So I did a silent prayer, and then I prayed out loud, prayed over their hands to make sure they, did the right things, and just made sure everyone was safe and I was safe throughout this surgery. After I got them praying, and they're like, okay, we're about to, start the anesthesia. So I just closed my eyes, and then literally out just like that. So I wake up out of surgery in the recovery area, and I'm literally just like so confused, of course. So I'm like, okay, I'm looking around, and then there are like quite a few doctors and nurses around me. They were asking me how I was feeling. Am I feeling any pain? I said, no, I'm just tired, and I was cold. That recovery area was so cold. So they gave me blankets. Then they let me go back to sleep. So I woke up. I don't know how long of a nap I had, but I woke up again. They're like, okay, how are you feeling? Are you in any pain? I said, no, still cold, still sleepy. So they said, okay, gave me some more covers. So the very last time that they woke me up, they were like, hey, we're going to take you up to your room. So by then, my husband was still waiting in the waiting room area. I still don't know what time of the day it is. Still don't know anything. I'm just like in the daze trying to wake up from the anesthesia. So getting wheeled away to go upstairs. And so we get to my room, and they transfer me out of the bed that they wheeled me into the bed that was in the room. And so by then, I happen to glance up at the clock. It is now about 4 p.m. in the afternoon. Mind you, my surgery started at 7:30 a.m. It's 4 p.m. So now I'm like, oh my gosh, the day. And then I literally went back out to sleep. Woke up at 5:30, 5 o'clock. I think it was 5 p.m. when I woke up. And because visiting hours were restricted at the hospital. I think they still are now, but visiting hours were restricted. And so my husband had to leave by 6 p.m. or 6, it was 6 or 6:30. So I told him, wake me up at 5:45 so we can at least talk a little bit, and But as I was sleeping, my my doctor who did the surgery, she came in and was talking to him, and I was knocked out. But I can hear bits and pieces of the conversation. So she was just updating him on how the surgery went, how many fibroids they took out. And he let me know once I woke up, but he really didn't have the exact number. So of course I had to wait until I saw her again, which was the next day. So he left. The whole night still went on by, and when I woke up again, it was 11 p.m. and I was like up, alert, ready to go, like, all right, I know what's going on now. So by then, that's when I'm feeling the pain in my abdomen area. So the type of myomectomy that I had an open myomectomy, which means they gave me the C-section cut. So I'll be inserting pictures so you can see like kind of the incision site. I have to crop it a little bit so I don't show too much, but you're going to see the incision site and then how swollen that belly would get. So you're going to see a picture coming up. The pain was starting to set in, and then one of my nurses came in and she asked, was I okay? I'm like, no, my stomach is starting to hurt. So they had me on a strict like 4-hour regimen of like literally giving me meds every 4 hours, and then I had to take something else in the IV to kind of keep me up but maintain the pain, but it wasn't as strong as the pain pills. So she gave me my medicine for the night, and I'm just still up scrolling on my phone, catching up on text messages, with my family and friends and everything. So I'm looking around, y'all, they call it a foyer. They put that in, so instead of having like a complete catheter in to catch my urine, I had a foyer in, and I happened to peek and saw the bottle was on the edge of the bed, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel like I'm about to pee on myself. But they had that connected in, and that was going in the bottle. And so around 4 a.m., 4:30, someone came in to take blood, because they did have to give me blood during the surgery. So I had one transfusion during surgery. So they had to take my blood to make sure my blood levels were fine. And then my nurse came in to give me some pain meds. A few more hours went by. So it's like 8 a.m. And then that's when two nurses came in to, dump out the urine cup. And they were saying, you have to do this, this, and that to pass the test. That's contingent if we're going to, discharge you today or tomorrow. So I'm like, well, I'm trying to go home today. So by then it is the 18th. Yes, the 18th, the very next day. And so they're like, well, you have to get up, walk to the bathroom, use the bathroom on your own, get up and, do your thing and walk back to the bed. Because we're trying to see if, how your balance is doing, how do you feel just standing up and being on your feet and just, just moving around. So they took the foyer out and they had to insert me with more fluid so I can, release that out in the toilet, so they can see that, all the urine is coming out, make sure I don't have an infection or anything. So they had to insert me with like 1,200 milliliters of just fluid. And I had to like pee all of that back out. And like this, they had this cup thingy in the toilet where they had to measure it to make sure that I was peeing enough, because they had the foyer in there. Y'all, that was the most pain I've ever been in ever. Like, it was worse than my incision cut, because they had to like just reinsert me with fluid, and my stomach was so swollen, and I felt most of the pain in my stomach area. So watching my stomach fill up, it hurt so bad. So that happened. So I was able to go to the bathroom quite a few times. So I'm like, okay, I'm hungry. They're like, well, you have to be on a liquid diet. Y'all, they had me eating freaking unseasoned chicken broth. That was so disgusting. I was so mad. My best friend, she works at a hospital, she ended up coming up there and bringing me some and pizza, because I'm like, I'm not drinking no chicken broth. Like, give me some real food, y'all. Come on. So the other test I had to pass was making sure that I was passing gas, because when they had me open during the surgery, they had to, I guess, pump my stomach with air to, make it more visible for the doctor to see. And so I started feeling those air bubbles going, and they had to give me something called Colace to try to get the gas moving and everything. So that was also another test that I had to pass. I ended up seeing the resident nurse first, where she took the covering off of my incision so I can see, what it looks like and everything. She took that off, asked me how I was doing. By then I was doing fine. So she said, well, you're going to see, your other doctor is going to come in and tell you, what's next. A few more hours went by. So by then it's around, I want to say it's like 3 p.m., about 3:30. Doctor finally came in and she was just asking how I was doing. She looked at the incision site. So she's just like, I heard you passed this test, so we're definitely going to discharge you tonight, but you have to get your medicine first. So they brought the medicine up to me, of course. But she did let me know the surgery. So regular myomectomy surgeries are usually 2 to 4 hours. My surgery was about 5.5, almost 6 hours, because once they opened me up, the fibroid was like literally growing into my uterus, or growing out. And they had to do extensive work on my uterus to make sure they preserved it, because they know we want a family. So they spent so much time working on my uterus. So they literally were like, you have to wait 1 entire year, calendar year, from surgery date to surgery date to even try to conceive. you have to wait. Usually the healing time is 6 months. I'm sorry, yes, 6 months. 6 months is usually the healing time. They gave me 1 complete full year. So I'm like, okay. And she was like, that fibroid was bigger than that 20-week fetus that we did say. And then she said, you also had a band of really small fibroids towards like your back area, like towards the back of the cavity that they were in. So she had to do some work with that, but they were all dying off. It was just mainly the main source was coming from that really big fibroid. So she was like, yeah, we did extensive work, but all is well. And now we're just healing. I'm finally discharged around 7 p.m. on the way home. Like, I live on the 3rd floor in my apartment, y'all, and we have steps. That was the hardest thing ever, but good thing we have railings on both sides, so I was able to hold on to the railings. But like, your walk speed is very slow because your stomach is just so swollen and you just feel all the pressure. So come home, get settled in. 5 days following June 19th, I started taking pictures of my stomach swelling so I can see the progress once it started going down. So they always recommend that if you have a myomectomy, you try to walk at least 5 minutes per day, or if you feel comfortable, start walking, you know, add more time on each day so you can get used to building that cardio back up. Because literally 2 p.m., like on a regular day, I will wake up around the clock to take my meds every 6 hours. Around like 1 p.m., 2 p.m., I'm like dead tired and ready to go to sleep. So I had to build all my strength back up like each day. So I would just literally walk back and forth in here 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes at a time each day. The key essentials that really helped me was I bought like some high-waisted panties off of Amazon. Definitely going to need a heating pad, and then, you know, those neck pillows from like, you know, what you get at the airport. That helped me out a lot. I put that around my stomach when I slept because I'm a stomach sleeper, and obviously I couldn't sleep on my stomach. So it helped me when I was sleeping on my side, and just having that extra security there. I also had the abdominal binder with the pelvic wrap. The pelvic wrap helped me the best because it kind of sat over my incision. So when I was like sitting down regular, you know, outside of just laying down, it was very comfortable on top of having that neck pillow around my stomach area. So those are very essential if you're having an open myomectomy or like an open surgery. Those are the things that I really bought that helped me out. So after like a week, I was off of the pain meds because they gave me Tylenol 3, ibuprofen, and 10 oxys. I did not want to take the oxys unless I really had to. Didn't have to take them. So I literally was off of like the pain meds after the very first week. I have like, I can take pain a lot, so everyone heals differently. So I was able to kind of overcome that aspect with not depending on the pain meds a little faster than others. Challenge that I did have was with my appetite. When I came home, I really didn't have an appetite for like the first month and a half. So when I had went to like a few of my follow-up appointments, I was losing weight. So I'm going to insert pictures at the end of my start weight where I was in January to where I am currently as of last week or 2 weeks ago, a picture that I took. But me having a lack of appetite really like contributed to me losing a ton of weight, on top of like just going through all those days of losing blood and everything. It really took a toll on my body in general. So I literally like lost weight. But I really did not have an appetite after surgery, and it took a while for it to come back. Like, I'm just now getting my appetite back and finishing foods like in total in one sitting. Something else to look out for, your bladder is going to take a while. It's going to take like a month and a half for your bladder to get back. Because again, my uterus was so big, it was in my stomach versus being in my pelvic area. And it was sitting on top of my bladder and my stomach. So with my uterus sitting on my bladder for that long, it shrunk my bladder. So of course, naturally, when they do the surgery and put everything back in place, my bladder is trying to expand. So I literally was using the bathroom like every 5 to 10 minutes, no lie. Because after you go sit down, you feel like you got to go again. So that was a big struggle for me, because I'm like, look, I don't got time to be running back and forth to the bathroom, especially if I'm healing. You can't move that fast. So it's just going back and forth. That was a struggle in itself. The recovery portion has been fairly well. The biggest thing that I can say that I'm still going through to this day is that the nerve block is still in full effect. I literally have no feeling in my lower belly, and my doctor did tell me it takes up to a year for a nerve block to wear off. So that's a huge downfall with that. Other than that, my incision is like very thin. It's still going away. You just have to make sure you keep looking at it and just maintaining that area to make sure like it doesn't get infected, of course. You're washing over it when you're in the shower or in the bathtub. You have to wash over it and pat it dry just to make sure that it's getting that extra care. They didn't give any cream or anything because I had dissolvable stitches, but just making sure you're monitoring that area. Another thing, like just making sure that, you know, you have the right mindset. Just know that you can get through this, because it is a very major surgery that's happening, you know, that you went through and that your body is going through. And so that's like a lot to take in a small amount of time. Again, mine was an emergency one. So I literally was at the hospital a Sunday, Monday, and I had to come back that Thursday for my surgery. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening to my story. Again, if you have any questions, please comment them down below. If you are interested in any more lifestyle stories or content in general, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'm very excited to get started on this brand new journey and just sharing my life with you guys and just sharing things that I love. So I'm just very excited to be here. And again, my name is Dejeanne. Thank you for watching my channel, and thank you for watching and listening to my story. Have an amazing day, and thank you again.